Hey, everybody, it's Mike Jeffers, Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and welcome to another episode of Around Town with Chicago Jazz. This is where we go around, we talk to different artists, local, regional, national artists, who's coming in, doing something in Chicago, maybe a CD release, maybe upcoming shows. And guess what? We have both with Mark and Ann Burnell. They are right here with us, and we are going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. They actually, by the way, have been on this show, or a former show, that was hosted by me. Everybody will make sense of that at some point, but they've been on a couple of different times, and they used to go to the hot dog stand with me, and we've done a couple of Zoom things over pandemic. And of course, I've seen them live in person several times at different venues. So guys, welcome to the show. And let's talk about what we're going to preview here, which is the brand new release that you just put out. It's called Two for the Road, available on burnellmusic.com. And this is a incredible combination, I think, of everything. And listening through the different tracks, it kind of reminded me of seeing you guys live because of all the different genres, all the different styles, some original, some standards, all done in very unique Mark and Ann ways. So welcome to the show, and let's talk a little bit about Two for the Road. How did this whole thing come about?
Well, thanks for having us, Mike.
Great to be here.
Yeah. We were doing stuff during the pandemic. We decided to rehearse and do some live streams, and just to keep ourselves in shape and to keep contact with our audience. And so from those live streams and those requests and stuff like that, we kind of took songs and played with them and made them more jazz arrangements. And so we picked the best of the best. And when I woke up to December 2020, and I said, oh my God, Mark, I know what we should do. We should go in the studio and record because it'll be safe. Everyone will be in their own booth, the drum booth, the bass booth, we'll be in the piano room, and we can record. And because everyone's
and the
now on tour.
best part was we had the choice of who we could get. Everybody was available. Nobody was working. So we got our first choices.
Yeah. Well, that's going through these tracks, and we'll talk a little bit about some of them, but listening to the different tracks, I mean, love will keep us together. I mean, I wouldn't expect to hear that on like a jazz slash, I don't even, eclectic kind of genre mixing thing. But the way you guys did it, kind of like the standard, a little funkier feel, and then it starts swinging in the middle of it. There's a lot of that on this recording that you did with standards. And then, there's some jump blues on there. What is it?
Little Joe.
Yeah, Little Joe. That's like a jump blues. Sounds like it came right out of the 40s or 50s. And, I remember you guys were doing like a weekly Zoom concert. So all of this stuff must have been able to be hashed out on a regular basis. I mean, you guys were getting a lot of views. You had a lot of viewers happening every single week. How long did you guys do that for during the pandemic? Was it a year?
Over 60 weeks.
Yeah. We did season 1, season 2. Oh my God, we're in season 3.
And a couple of the requests from our fans for those weekly concerts ended up on the CD, which is pretty cool.
It's a great way to rehearse, and it's also a great way to make yourself branch out, especially during a pandemic, because, talking to different musicians, as I know you guys do, and with what I'm doing here with Chicago Jazz, it took a lot for people to get over the fact that they couldn't go somewhere and perform, and their income wasn't coming in either. So in order to get motivated, this had to be a great way just to stay motivated and continue to create, even though there was no one you could do it for in physical person, but in virtual person, you guys understand what I'm saying. It probably helped because you were feeding off that audience, even if they were just commenting on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, it was funny. I do remember, like, when we first started, we started to play with songs and put them out there. And then, you finish a song and you're like, hey,
silent, utter silence. We can't hear any applause.
But then we started to see the little, things floating up, and we started to get more technically savvy on that, And so what happened, interestingly enough, the group of people from all over the country that like stayed in the chats on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, they like started talking to each other, like as if they were
really?
Friends. Yeah. So over a year and a half,
we created a little family.
Yeah, there's a little online family.
Yeah. And that's gotta help too. I mean, with this new release, I know we talked a little bit, and it's starting to get played on a bunch of radio stations.
Yeah, I mean, fast. It's cool.
It's on almost 20 stations already on rotation.
1 week.
Isn't that awesome? That's incredible. But I think the bigger thing is too, is that you guys created this little community where it's got to help you get a little bit more distribution nationally that's just organic, and also potentially maybe down the road, you'd be able to go and play other places in other cities because you've got a little bit of a fan base built up because you were doing this virtual stuff.
We have a Florida fan base too because we perform down there in the winter.
Yeah.
This will be our fourth in a row, I think, fourth
Third.
winter in a row.
Yeah.
And we have a fan base there, and we're starting. We know some bass players and drummers, so it's good.
Yeah, but we just played a big festival up in Plymouth, Wisconsin, which is way up north, and we took one of the guys from the record, and then we picked up a bassist in Milwaukee, Hal Miller. He was fabulous, and so we took Jim Wodlowski from here and Hal Miller and had the rehearsal and went up there and did a festival. It was like a wine and cheese jazz and blues festival. I'm like, that's us. We're wine and cheese, jazz and blues.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Well, and you guys have some other stuff coming up now. I know you guys did a CD release. Well, I don't even know if it's a CD anymore. It's a record release, a recording release, however you want to say it. Over at Epiphany Center for the Arts. What, 2 weeks ago was it? Was it last week? 2 weeks ago? And now you have some other shows coming up. So
it was 1 week.
Was it 1 week? It was last week.
1 week. That's why I'm saying that we dropped the album that day, and this is day 8, and we've been getting a lot of radio pickups. So that's what's cool. Yeah.
That's to have that many stations picking it up is at this point when it's first coming out is got to be very encouraging.
We're excited. There must be only 250 or so jazz stations across the whole world. So.
Well, there's a lot of online streaming stuff, so we're hitting the marketing thing. But what we also had under our hats was we had, we still have a couple of arrangements done by Bob Ojeda.
Oh yeah,
Bobby Ojeda. Not record yet, and so we put them on this record, and it's just wonderful to have his music come back. And I mean,
he's quite a special arranger, as you know.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about Bobby Ojeda. I mean, he arranged for the Basie Band, and he was in the Basie Band and did a lot of stuff, and obviously worked around Chicago with everybody and the country. But how did you guys get to connect with him?
I started playing with him in a big band at Fitzgerald's every Friday night with John Burnett.
Oh yeah, your British buddy.
A British buddy big band, and that's how I got to know him. And then when Ann had her jazz brunch at Andy's, she started using Bob, and we became really tight.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a small band tribute to my favorite composer, Harold Arlen, and it was going to be his centennial, like in 2005. So I asked Bill Porter, remember the band leader, Bill Porter. I asked him, who can write these things, because I mean, these arrangements, who's the best guy? And he recommended somebody. And then that person, had written the Ron Hawking arrangements for His Way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, he wasn't available, so we got Bob Ojeda.
Yeah, he was dealing with some illness in his family and stuff like that. So Bill Porter said, just talk to Ojeda. So he and I had coffee, and I picked all the songs. I'm like, this one. And he's very quiet spoken.
Yeah.
He said, I get it. You want to do like a torchy album to Harold Arlen.
Right.
Because we had picked all these blues songs, bluesy songs.
Yep.
That's it. So he'd find it for us, And then, after that, I think it was after that we played Andy's brunch for a year or so with Ojeda. Mark had a church gig, so he
So I'd come in and play the last set.
Yeah. But it was wonderful. We were all wearing sunglasses because it was God.
So we had the couple of leftover Ojeda arrangements that were not Harold Arlen.
Well, one of them is.
One of them was,
but, yeah. It was written at a different time.
It just didn't make the CD, so we used them on this CD.
Yeah.
And then Ann and I arranged some other stuff, and we sort of like to play with songs, change their time signatures, as in Getting to Know You.
And Baubles, Bangles, and Beads. That's one of my favorites, and I'm playing it in 4/4s. I love it swinging, but I like the way you guys did it in 3/4.
Well, we did it in 3/4 and 4/4.
And 4/4, yeah. Yeah, but it kicks off, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to do it because, usually it's just straight ahead swinging, which is great.
Right.
The way you did it threw me off a little bit, but it was great. It was a nice way to do it.
Well,
And,
yeah, too.
you've also got the peppermint tea. That's an original tune, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. I know there's a few different original ones, but that one jumped out at me. I think probably because I've heard you sing it in person. I think
We
it's
also released a video about it too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that because I was listening to it and it's got references and to a lot of different things in there.
Well, I want to hear what your experience is with it because my my thought is like what can trigger a memory? Like what can take you back to like a sensory experience you had with creative? And so for me it was a creative hotbed, in college and during that time, these singers were like um, really on my turntable all the time, so
Mhm.
Steely Dan and Ricky Lee Jones and um,
Tom Waite.
Tom Waits, everybody, JT. So they were all on my turntable, but there was also like a huge amount of creativity that was going on at the time, and it was somewhat craziness too. And so just kind of that I think is important to have that community and different relationships in your life that feed that. So
Mhm.
I'm like, it's interesting to me to hear people say like, "Oh, I remember this," and it takes them all different places in their memory. And when the videographer was putting it together, he said he was getting very literal with what I was saying, and I said, "Oh, no, no, no! I kind of want it to be very um, like elusive and spacey, so that each person who listens to it has their own um, memory like relapse." And so that was my hope, that
Yeah.
I hope it takes you to a
And
time.
that's why we released videos, because since we made our last album 7 or 8 years ago, the industry has changed so much. So we learned that if we released couple videos in advance, it could give push a little energy towards the release party.
I mean, Mike, everything's video. You're doing your magazine is now video.
It's all video. I switched it all to video. Well, years ago. I started doing videos, 15 years ago. If you go on
Yeah,
our YouTube
before
channel,
everyone.
yeah, if you go on the YouTube channel, Chicago Jazz TV, hint, hint.
Oh,
If you go
cool.
way back in there, there's some videos that I did that looks like literally I'm in a hostage situation talking because it was just horrible. But
I saw one of them. I saw one of them with Nick Schneider, Tommy Mueller.
well, that was at the hot dog stand. Yeah, when I
Yeah,
had Tommy cooking in the kitchen, he was making Eric Schneider a Malort
it looked like
sausage.
a half-hour comedy show. It was,
But I have some from my old office where I had La Percolator come up,
yeah.
and it's worth a watch if you want to see something crazy. But I used to get a lot of views, and I started realizing then that's how I started learning about video back then.
Oh,
And yeah, finally switched the magazine over to all video, and it's an important part. It's learning about the distribution, as you guys know, tying it in with distribution with your videos, and then
mhm.
tying it in with a product. Then you get evergreen content that will last forever, that can continuously be rotated through, and nothing ever goes out of style then at that point because you're always reaching people, you're
And
always
Chicago Jazz TV. Okay.
and that's why we included Two for the Road, the title track, because everybody loves to travel and they like to reminisce about travel, and that's what our
Yep.
video is about. And
Well, I think the
It's
photos,
like the Two for the Road montage is like you're getting postcards from us from everywhere we've been. And we also
well,
want to manifest that in our life again.
well, the I love the photo, by the way, too, on the front cover.
There's a story
There-
behind that.
that was a rainy day, and we had a narrow window
Without rain.
without rain, maybe just a little over an hour,
Ah,
and so we lucked out there.
it's great. So everybody watching this thing should go check it out. Two for the Road, Burnell Music. You can download individual tracks. I would suggest downloading the whole thing and paying for the entire recording, and then you can listen to the whole thing on demand and listen to it go through the different tunes in order, which I know that are probably put in order for a certain reason. It really reminded me of seeing you guys live because of the way the whole thing flows, which I think is key. Even though you did it in a studio, it's like experiencing a performance rather than just individual tracks. So it's always good to get the entire recording, especially this one. But let's
Oh,
talk.
thanks.
You know that mastering guy, Bob Katz from Digital Domain.
Yep.
He's in Orlando. He's a genius. You know, like
He wrote a book on mastering.
yeah, like people consult him
okay.
from all over the place. But so Danny Leak was one of his students or whatever. You know, he mentored him. So we don't have Danny anymore. So we went back to Bob Katz, and
We're glad we did.
but
Yeah.
he when you talk about the flow of the album, yeah, he even like programs the seconds or the in between the songs. You know, so
That's a key. That's a key. You know, there's all those little things, and we could talk all about that for 2 hours, but
no.
maybe we'll do that again sometime. But so let's talk about what you have coming up, since we're getting close on time here, and I want to be mindful of everybody's time. But you've got coming up, since this is dropping Tuesday, which is this coming Tuesday, that would be right in the wheelhouse of what do you have? Actually, August 28th it's gonna drop after August 28th. So what do you have coming up after that? And I know you have Hey Nani coming up, and then there's a new place you told me about. You've got Vincent's. You guys do a regular show at Vincent's, right?
Mhm.
So
Vincent's is a wonderful little restaurant in Andersonville, and it's kind of like got a piano bar scene, and it's very, you know, throwback to Rush Street. You know, similar people come in, and everyone talks to everyone at the bar.
Open air windows, and
Yeah.
we're right next to the sidewalk.
You
And,
can totally go there by yourself, you know, like, and you'll come out with friends.
and then we play at Drew's on Halstead.
are you guys at Vincent's every other week? Is that what it is, or once a month?
A couple times a month.
Okay.
Just, if you look at vincentchicago.com, they put up their entertainment, and they've got a kind of a cool array. They don't have entertainment every night.
Okay. Okay. Well,
We're
I
once
know-
a month at Drew's.
I know. Yeah, I know it's on your website too. So Drew's, that's another place that's kind of been turned into like a cabaret kind of live music venue, right? That's
Oh, yeah.
A lot of jazz artists are playing there.
You know
Yeah.
what? We played opening night of Market Days, and it was
Crazy.
so insane. Like, it was beyond sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it was. Well, and then we talked a little bit before you came on. You're actually playing a new place that's opening up September 21st. You're playing at Magoo's Bar and Grill, which I'll give the address because it's brand new, 6550 South Menard in Bedford Heights, Illinois, just south of Midway Airport there. And you told me that they've got all sorts of different bands, and it looks like a grill pub and stuff, but they actually have a room that they're turning into like a cabaret style room, which is pretty incredible, especially for being in that area. So hopefully that takes off, because I know there's a need for that down in that southwest area of the city. So do you know anything about the place?
We haven't been there. We've just seen pictures. We know the guy who's helping them get it up on its feet. And they have a beautiful, like, little room with a stage and lighting. And so they're getting a piano. They're investing, you know. They have a social
Great.
media person. So, I mean, I'm excited to play down there. And, you know, it'll be a cool setting, and also to expose the Southwest side to some jazz. And
Right,
some
because we play on the northwest side with
Yeah.
Hey Nani's. We do jazz brunches there in Arlington Heights.
That's right. That's right. And you've got one coming up October 9th. So that's 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Is that what I
Yeah.
said?
10:30.
Lunch? 10:30.
That's
That extra half-hour sleep counts
Yeah.
for a jazz musician.
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah, sure it does. So but that's a great room. They have a great room there. Do they have a piano there? I can't
A
remember.
wonderful Yamaha Grand, yes.
Do they? Yeah. Yeah.
There are a couple of musicians that own that.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
I know the one guy is a drummer.
Yeah,
What-
Chip, he's the drummer. I guess the other guys too. I don't remember what he plays, but yeah, they just, you know, when they saw this place empty, they just kind of decided, well, we're going to create a music room because we love music. And yeah,
It's got a great vibe too, because you're right in downtown Arlington Heights, and all the windows are open and everybody can see in there and stuff, and doing a brunch, there's like a no-brainer, if you ask
well, they
me.
closed the street, you know, just like La Piano closes the street. You know, they close the street and the tables go all the way out, and you know, so
And Anne with her cordless mic, well,
I went outside.
walks
I
right
was
outside.
like,
She's out crooning, walking down
Yeah.
the street.
I'm trying to find the audience, right? Mark is inside. As long as I can hear him, I'm okay.
And
That's
I'm
right.
also on my 10th year of leading a jazz trio at the Tortoise Club, and that's every Saturday.
You're there every Saturday still.
Every
Wow,
Saturday.
man, 10 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Keep it open. Well, we had a little break there for the pandemic, so I'm counting on it.
Well, the pandemic, everybody had a little break. So it's like we were talking about before we came on with that festival that I run. It's actually the 10th year of the festival, but it's the 11th year. So is it really an annual now? I don't know. It's everything's getting broken up. It's like the Jazz
Yes,
Fest.
it is. It's an annual.
That's what I think too.
I
The
heard really
pandemic
great things about it, Mike. So that's a Deer Park one.
Deer Park Jazz Fest. Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe next year we can get you guys out there at some point if you're in town and around.
Love to.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap this thing up. I want to make sure everybody knows. So BurnellMusic.com, Two for the Road. Congratulations on this great recording. Obviously, it's available to download at the website. It's on all your streaming platforms. You can download it, you can buy it, you can do anything you want. Go see them in person. They have actual physical copies. They'll sign it for you. And what better souvenir than to have a signed autograph CD of Two for the Road right there. It's right there for you. And well, guys, thanks so much for jumping on here. And sorry about my weird scheduling today, but I appreciate you making an accommodation here. And we're gonna get
Mike.
out. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. And hopefully everybody can get out and see you guys play some more.
Well, we'll come see you at the Jazz Fest. We can't wait. We're so happy that it feels better to be outside and go hear our friends.
Yes.
We can't decide like who to go see all the time. We're just that's the hard part now.
It'll be nice to be outside at the festival, finally back together with everybody seeing live music. This is the first big music festival in the city presented by DCase that hasn't really been trimmed down. They brought all the stages back, it seems. So we're back in business over there. So it should
4
be
days still? It's 4 days.
4 days, September 1st through the 4th. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I hope to see everybody out there for that too.
Yeah, we'll see you down there.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being on. And thank you all for watching. Of course, ChicagoJazz.com. We've got all the information, all the jazz calendars, new shows coming up every week, a couple of times a week, soon to be. And until next time, hopefully I will see you somewhere out on the scene.